They were America's TV power couple and the epitome of midday devotion for decades. But now, half a century later, Dr. Phil speaks up. Was Robin McGraw indeed divorced by him? Fans weren't prepared for the response. It has nothing to do with cheating, celebrity, or waning love. It's something far more unexpected. The hints have always been there from a previous wife who was forgotten to a contentious ICE raid that caused national indignation. Marriage isn't the only issue here. It's about a line that was subtly crossed, legacy and change. Keep checking back as we reveal the cause behind his departure after a lifetime of seeming inseparable. The first marriage of Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil McGraw had a defining relationship that would play a significant role in the background of his public life before he became well-known and a television celebrity. At the age of 20, Phil wed his high school girlfriend Debbie Higgins in 1970. He was still figuring out his life's purpose at the moment, far from the national television glare. Both of them had grown up in Kansas, where they were married, and captured the zeal and optimism of youthful love. The union didn't last long. The pair separated in 1973, and Phil's subsequent fame and well-publicized second marriage to Robin McGraw eclipsed their romance, which eventually fell into near obscurity. Debbie Higgins would provide some insight into their brief relationship years later. She characterized their marriage as domineering and challenging in interviews conducted after Dr. Phil became well-known. Debbie claims that, even as a small child, Phil had strong opinions and set strict standards for her conduct and looks. She asserted that he prevented her from engaging in things she enjoyed, such as working outside the house or exercising weights. These assertions stood in sharp contrast to Phil's later public character as a supporter of personal development, wholesome connections, and responsibility. Despite these accusations, Dr. Phil has been mostly silent concerning his first marriage and has never directly addressed them in detail. The time of the early tie was just as important as the nature of the relationship. Long before Phil had his clinical psychology doctorate and before he started appearing frequently on Oprah Winfrey's show in the 1990s, Debbie and Phil got married, and definitely prior to his talk show hosting in 2002. Phil was only starting his schooling and career when they split up. Official biographies make passing mention of this time in Phil's life, but the details have been deliberately kept secret to protect his privacy or to keep Phil from being embarrassed, given how awkward these situations can be. Although it is rarely brought up, Dr. Phil's marriage to Debbie Higgins is nevertheless a significant chapter in his life. Although he did not remain there for very long, it most likely influenced his evolving views on communication, conflict, and marriage. This incident might have influenced his later ideas about working with couples for better or worse. It is a silent testament to the fact that even well-known public figures with sophisticated brands have nuanced personal origins. It wasn't merely a new romance that followed. It marked the start of a collaboration that would reshape his public persona and career. When Dr. Phil McGraw met Robin Jo Jameson, the woman who would become his longtime girlfriend in the middle of the 1970s, his life took a significant change. With a background in education, Robin immediately established herself as a crucial source of emotional support and encouragement for Phil, who was then just beginning his career in psychology. A few years after his divorce from his first wife, their love bloomed into marriage in 1976. In contrast to his prior engagement, Phil and Robin would have a long-term partnership that was intricately linked to his career and personal life. Their early years together were largely peaceful, centered on starting a family and creating a future based on aspiration and respect for one another. Jay and Jordan, the couple's two kids, would go on to pursue careers that involved creativity and public interaction. Jay McGraw went on to become a television producer and novelist, often working behind the scenes on media projects like Dr. Phil. Jordan McGraw followed a career in music and eventually became well known for his guitar and singing. Singing. Robin was crucial in keeping things stable at home and assisting in the development of a family life based on ambition, discipline, and religion during those years, even if Dr. Phil's own ascent to stardom was still in the future. Even as public attention grew in subsequent years, Their sons frequently give credit to both parents for giving them a solid and encouraging upbringing. Robin's impact extended much beyond the home sphere. She was Dr. Phil's unwavering confidant and collaborator as he moved from private practice to national notoriety. In fact, this led to a successful career. She helped create an image of a relatable, grounded pair who wished to help others, and her grace, friendliness, and occasional on-air appearances made a big contribution to the show. She gained a devoted following of her own by advocating for partnerships, self-care, and women's empowerment in addition to her status as a symbol. As time went on, Phil and Robin's marriage became into a public partnership, plagued by the need to strike a balance between celebrity and genuineness. Their mutual support solidified that identity, reinforcing the principles and counsel Dr. Phil presented to his audience. Robin gave their entire identity that rough yet caring vibe, whether they were walking the backstage way or appearing side by side on stage. In addition to creating a media empire, the two created a compelling life story of dedication that connected with millions of people who saw them as a representation of a enduring alliance. The public persona of Robin McGraw. In contrast to but complementing to her husband's well-known career, Robin McGraw established her own place in the public spotlight. Robin became a regular guest on Dr. Phil as the show achieved national recognition, sharing personal tales, giving relationship advice, and promoting women's empowerment. The difference between men and women is that women desire to do what women should do. Viewers responded favorably to her composed manner and candid conversations on issues including marriage, aging, and mental health. Her best-selling works, such as Inside My Heart and What's Age Got to Do with It, addressed issues of confidence, self-care, and preserving one's identity in a married relationship. Because of her friendly demeanor, Robin gained recognition as more than just the host's spouse. She rose to prominence in her own right. Robin's philanthropy, especially her efforts to combat domestic abuse, has been one of her most significant achievements. She established the Robin McGraw Revelation Foundation, which bears her mother's name when Georgia smiled in 2013. The foundation's primary goal is to develop resources and initiatives that assist women and children in leaving abusive situations and starting over. It introduced projects such as the Aspire News app, which poses as a news app while offering victims of domestic abuse emergency options. Robin's work in this field was highly acclaimed and closely related to topics frequently discussed on Dr. Phil, giving her advocacy a personal and professional purpose. Feel that my mother, Georgia, is the reason I am the woman, mother, and grandma I am today. As if her active advocacy work wasn't enough, Robin launched her skincare line and made significant inroads into the beauty and wellness industry. Revelation by Robin McGraw. For women who wanted to prioritize their mental and physical well-being, the brand established a culture of inner strength and self-respect. The empowering wording on the products encouraged women to indulge without feeling guilty. Due to Robin's frequent television appearances, the brand saw some degree of commercial success and exposure. However, rumors regarding the quality of the product and overstated claims began to circulate. She continued to represent her brand, however, and used it to promote her beliefs in self-worth and confidence. Robin remained involved in her family's media businesses throughout her public career, balancing her own interests with the family's shared platform. She utilized her voice to draw attention to topics close to her heart when she appeared in family-friendly portions. Although some detractors accused her of abusing the attention her husband gave her, there were also admirers who were captivated by Robin because of her self-directed activities and humanitarian work. Her public persona is now characterized by kindness, grace, and a genuine desire to assist, particularly other women through challenging physical and mental situations. Claims at work on the Dr. Phil Show. BuzzFeed News released a contentious investigative article in 2022 that detailed grave workplace accusations made by former Dr. Phil Show staff members. 12 current and former employees shared their stories in the piece, characterizing the production environment as emotionally taxing, poisonous, and high pressure. These people claimed that intimidation and terror characterized the culture that existed behind the scenes. They said that employees were frequently the targets of verbal abuse and professional humiliation, and that senior producers employed harsh methods to regulate staff behavior. Many fans who had long viewed the show as a forum for healing and productive discussion were taken aback by these assertions. The investigation identified exploitation of vulnerable guests as a primary concern in addition to internal staff concerns. According to former staff, several visitors, many of whom had severe mental health conditions, were taken advantage of for amusement. There were claims that in order to heighten the drama on screen, staff members concealed important facts and promoted emotional outbursts. Producers were charged with putting viewership ahead of the visitors' welfare in a number of instances. Critics claimed that the performance had transgressed moral limits for the purpose of television spectacle, which heightened public anxiety. Although such techniques were not officially confirmed, the charges sparked a heated discussion regarding reality-based programming's accountability. Carla Pennington, the executive producer, and Dr. Phil McGraw flatly rejected all of the allegations. In a public statement, they declared the accusations to be untrue. He underlined that a high professional quality had always been upheld at work. Dr. Phil claimed to have never witnessed or approved of abusive behavior and to have faith in his crew's moral character. Filming for the show continued as usual, with no internal adjustments or obvious repercussions following the filing of the report. Despite the denials, the story highlighted stark contrasts and hovered over the latter seasons of the show. Between its private culture and its declared public goal, there were no verified reports of legal action or formal inquiries resulting from the claims. Nevertheless, Dr. Phil's legacy was impacted by this incident. In media circles and internet forums, ethical debates over producing emotionally charged content and how to handle backstage employees persisted. Defenders of the show firmly supported Dr. Phil's goals, and the principles of his advice, whilst critics saw it as a microcosm of more significant problems in daytime television. This episode introduced even another level of complexity to the history of one of the most well-known American talk programs ever. Turnabout Ranch is the subject of controversy. Dr. Phil faced criticism for his previous endorsement of Turnabout Ranch, a Utah juvenile behavioral treatment center that was regularly suggested on his program as a help for problematic teenagers. When previous visitors Danielle Bregoli, better known as the rapper Bad Bobby, and Hannah Arculeta came forth with unsettling stories of their experiences at the facility, the controversy started to garner national attention. Following their appearance on Dr. Phil, the two young women said they were taken to Turnabout Ranch, where they allegedly suffered from emotional and physical abuse. Their charges raised serious questions regarding the degree of accountability in the juvenile rehabilitation sector, as well as the screening procedure used to develop the show's recommendations. In 2021, Danielle Bregoli made her experience public by sharing a video of the abuse she said was terrible at the ranch. She claimed that teenagers were physically restrained as a form of punishment, made to remain silent, and forbidden communication with their relatives. Additionally, Bregoli charged that the show failed to inquire about the well-being of visitors after directing them to these facilities. Similar claims were swiftly made by Hannah Arculeta, who filed a lawsuit in 2019 claiming that a staff member at Turnabout Ranch had abused her. According to Arculeta's lawsuit, the incident happened not long after she appeared on Dr. Phil, and that her placement at the facility was directly related to the program. Despite giving both women's stories the attention they deserved, there remained opposition to their claims. Turnabout Ranch representatives defended the personnel and treatment techniques, claiming they had done nothing illegal. When guests were placed in outside shows, Dr. Phil and his production crew contended that the show had no influence over what happened. However, this has understandably led to a renewed focus on Dr. Phil, with detractors claiming that the show had an obligation to ensure the minors' safety and moral treatment after sending them to outside institutions. During these visits, Dr. Phil discreetly left the ranch due to the negative public reaction. Over the course of the following year, the program stopped mentioning the ranch on air, despite having previously promoted it as a rehabilitation option for problematic teenagers. The ethics of abusing actual people, especially children, for emotionally charged television programming were called into doubt by this broader topic. The response had a definite result, even though the lawsuits are still pending and the results remain unknown. It made Dr. Phil's brand more vulnerable and led to a re-examination of the program's referral policies. His past may have come under scrutiny due to the scandal. However, what transpired next demonstrated how drastically his public voice was going to shift. Merit Street Media's debut. By starting his own television network, Merit Street Media, in 2024, Dr. Phil took a daring new turn in his media career. This signaled his departure from conventional discussion television during the day, and his entry into what he called a realm devoted to unfiltered, genuine interactions. The network was established following the end of his long-running syndicated show, and it was presented as a chance to broaden the range of conversations he wished to have, many of which had a more explicitly social and political bent. The Merit Street Media immediately became well known for its focus on contentious cultural issues and hot-button debates, which was a significant departure from the psychiatric and personal counseling subjects that had previously characterized Dr. Phil's reputation. Dr. Phil Primetime, a nightly program that had a distinctly different tone from his former show, was at the heart of this new platform. Instead of emphasizing family conflict resolution or individual counseling, Dr. Phil Primetime included panels, interviews, and comments on national concerns like public safety, education policy, and free speech. Dr. Phil has advocated for parental rights in schools on multiple occasions. Stricter law enforcement subjects that appealed to conservative viewers. Many saw his attitude on these issues as a conscious repositioning to appeal to a more right-leaning audience, particularly in contrast to his comparatively apolitical public persona of the past. Topic selection and the tone of Dr. Phil's guests have also started to change. There were typically opponents of cancel culture and ideological excess on the new forum. While demonstrating empathy for others, he also discussed issues including media bias, government transparency, and the claim that Americans have been deceived by reliable news. His supporters saw this Dr. Phil as more direct and prepared to face difficult realities. However, the opposition contended that he had abandoned humanity and believability. Dr. Phil has never addressed the matter, but some people think the network was established for political reasons. Merit Street Media undoubtedly represents a shift in his public persona, even though Dr. Phil maintained that his political development stems from a greater concern for the course of society. Dr. Phil used to counsel people on their personal issues. He has now adopted the far more expansive job of a cultural pundit with the goal of influencing public opinion. It remains to be seen if this new path will improve his public image or drive away some of his former supporters. But there's no doubt that his shift in tone will give him a new identity in the media. Involvement in the ICA raid in 2025. Dr. Phil gained notoriety in January 2025 after he unintentionally took part in an immigration and customs enforcement ICE raid in Chicago. Dr. Phil was captured on camera as he accompanied former IC Director Tom Hammond in the operation, which targeted unauthorized immigrants with criminal histories. Online footage revealed that Dr. Phil was actively interacting with the detainees, including asking one of them about their criminal past and immigration status. The video became viral very fast. Is your mom a citizen? Indeed. But you're not. This generated a flurry of responses on news sites and social media. For someone who had previously been recognized for his daytime television, concentration on family concerns and personal recovery, it was a startling and contentious turn. Dr. Phil's attendance at the raid was criticized for being both improper and politically motivated. Given the delicate nature of immigration enforcement, the optics of a television personality taking part in a federal law enforcement operation generated significant ethical concerns. Critics said he was aligning himself with tough immigration policies and exploiting the situation for attention. Some referred to the action as a publicity gimmick intended to increase awareness of Merit Street Media, his recently established conservative media network. Although there was no official confirmation, there were even rumors that the event had been partially planned for a future Dr. Phil primetime program. Dr. Phil justified his involvement by declaring that he had only journalistic intentions. He stated that, particularly in areas where immigration enforcement is a divisive topic, he wished to learn about the procedure personally and acquire knowledge of how ICE operations were conducted. His team claims that the event was a component of a larger effort to investigate subjects that are frequently disregarded or inaccurately depicted in the media. He maintained that in order to advance the public conversation, it was essential to address immigration from a fact-based law enforcement standpoint. Some thought the approach lacked context and empathy, while others valued his effort to delve deeper into national issues. The event signaled yet another change in Dr. Phil's changing public image. He used to be viewed as an impartial person who provided advice and assistance, but he has lately placed himself in more divisive national discussions. His shift toward politically charged subjects was strengthened by the ICE raid appearance, which further allied him with right media circles. The raid confirmed Dr. Phil's readiness to become involved in contentious discussions and to face the repercussions that follow, regardless of whether it was seen as a daring journalistic move or an improper act of theatrics. The Dr. Phil show is over. Dr. Phil ended its 21-season run in 2023, marking a significant milestone in the history of daytime television. Since its launch in 2002 as a spin-off of Dr. Phil's regular appearances on The Oprah Winfrey Show, the program has established itself as a mainstay in American homes. Throughout its existence, Dr. Phil remained popular due to its combination of tough love, psychiatric insight, and emotionally charged interviews. Dr. Phil McGraw declared his intention to leave the format, stating that he wished to investigate new endeavors that were more in line with his changing interests in the media environment. Dr. Phil stressed that the decision to cancel the show was not sudden or coerced as the last season aired. Official comments claim that McGraw and CBS decided to end Dr. Phil together because they each felt the timing was opportune to do so. He thanked his followers and the network for their support over the past 20 years. Dr. Phil stated unequivocally that his intention was to change course rather than retire. "I'm Chris Gutierrez, and I'm watching breaking news on Dr. Phil's Merit TV. I'm Joe Gum, too. We sincerely appreciate your presence here this Sunday." Into new platforms and media, especially with the start of his new business, Merit Street Media. He claimed that he was more passionate than ever about giving advice and talking about real-world problems, but he was prepared to take a different approach. When the series concluded, the rumors appeared out of nowhere, but it was purportedly obvious that there were covert explanations. Some conjectured that this development would have resulted from earlier claims of a toxic workplace involving behind-the-scenes conflicts, while others started spreading ominous rumors that the show was ending due to personal problems between Dr. Phil and his wife, Robin McGraw. As a matter of fact, aside from a very poisonous workplace which is undeniable, there was no public proof of any scandal that would have ended the show. During the announcement period, the pair was still spotted together, and there was no mention of any backlash from CBS in the official reports. Rumors are still mere conjecture on social media and are not supported by evidence. The Dr. Phil show is now over, which had played a crucial role in American television for more than 20 years, providing therapy-style guidance together with the most recent news headlines for viewers to consume, has created a huge gap in the continent's daytime talk show schedule. It wasn't for Dr. Phil, though. Alas, goodbye wasn't the end. He spoke up to inform not only his current audience but also larger audiences that his voice and impact would be heard in the future on various platforms and on different conditions. Present condition of Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil and Robin McGraw are still openly wed as of 2025, and they haven't made any official announcements about their separation or divorce. Because of Dr. Phil's well-known career and Robin's prominent role alongside him, their nearly 50-year relationship has been the subject of public scrutiny for years. So yeah, there has been no official sign of marital problems despite the fact that they have been more secretive in recent years, especially after Dr. Phil's demise. Even though they no longer make frequent appearances together, their enduring friendship is still a component of their public persona, particularly in interviews and sporadic announcements about their family or philanthropic activities. However, on tabloid websites and social media, rumors of a breakup have persisted. Claims of emotional detachment and rumors of behind-the-scenes professional disputes were among the theories. Robin's diminished involvement in Dr. Phil's more recent endeavors, such as Merit Street Media Network, was perceived by some as a sign of conflict between the two. Others asserted that personal hardship resulted from Dr. Phil's transformation from a therapeutic daytime broadcaster to a more politically vocal media personality. However, the pair has not directly responded to these claims, which seem to be more based on speculation than verified facts. So tonight, through her wellness company and the nonprofit When Georgia Smiled, Robin McGraw has been working toward her own initiative. Dr. Phil has entertained himself with his own media endeavors, including Dr. Phil Primetime. Primetime. Although their professional trajectories have deviated somewhat, both prominent personalities frequently discuss their families. On a few instances, they have been seen attending public events, particularly those that include their kids or philanthropic organizations. Even if they aren't as obviously entwined as they once were, they seem kind and helpful when they do share a stage which supports the idea of long-term couples. In a time when many celebrity couples have made their marriages into reality shows, doing almost everything while cameras are running, Dr. Phil and Robin's marriage has become more private, leaving people in the dark, but politely. There is no concrete proof that their relationship has dissolved, even if their dynamics may have altered over time, especially due to shifting work priorities. Their marriage appears to be a topic of their media appearances, even though it may not be the most noticeable aspect of them. Whether by choice or need, their decision to keep a large portion of their private lives out of the spotlight has also helped them stay steady across decades of public scrutiny, professional change, and celebrity. Even though their relationship has become more secret, the impact they are making on their own could be even greater than their years of fame together. Future ambitions and the public legacy. In the American media, Dr. Phil McGraw is still well known. Instead of withdrawing from the spotlight, he has shifted toward a more autonomous and straightforward approach to content production, even after leaving his popular daytime talk program. His focus has evolved from personal intervention stories to more general social and political themes since the introduction of his network, Merit Street Media, and his new program, Dr. Phil Primetime. Although his brand has changed, his impact is still very much present. He is now a more outspoken cultural commentator in addition to being a well-respected television therapist. His career has entered a new phase, one that is more motivated by his own editorial vision than by network norms. Meanwhile, Robin McGraw has remained steadfast in her advocacy efforts.